rallying around the cause again. As you know, it's not even a cause. It's just like, you know, a life that could still be living right now. You know? Really, you think about that. So, I think about that like a lot, actually. And it's not even just in like, you know, these awful, like, murders that happen, you know, you know, on camera or whatever. I just think about like, it's weird. It's kind of weird to think about, I guess, but like I do think about ways where like, you know, like people just die, and it's like, you know, if they didn't have to, you know, like if they made like one turn, you know, if they went a different direction that day, literally, right? If you think about it, if they stopped at the store for 5 minutes, you know, and they avoided an accident, right? You know, if they didn't go to like that place that day, right? If they just hung out at home and were like, nah, you know what? Nah, I don't feel like going there today. Instead of going, and then, you know, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but at the same time, I think that does, like, you can't live in like fear like that, obviously, right? You have to live your life, because you never know what's gonna happen. You could die taking a shit, like I think Elvis did. You know, obviously I think he had some health problems, but you know, like you can die any day, anytime, like anyhow, I don't know, you could just die, right? So you can't worry about like any just, you know, like accidents or anything like that. But no, I think about that, like, you know, there's still, you know, lives that could be living right now, I guess. It's weird. It's a weird way to think, you know. And I always think like, what happens after, right? You know, is there like I think, honestly, I think there is like an afterlife. I really do. You know, and I think I thought that before doing psychedelics. But after doing psychedelics, I feel like I wholeheartedly believe it. You know, and I'm not to say like I've, you know, like a psychedelic expert or anything like that. Like, oh, I trip all the time or anything like that. But, you know, I feel like if you've done even just a little bit of shrooms, and, you know, I've only done a little bit. You know, I've never done a ton. You know, I've never done even 3 grams of shrooms, which is like, people are always like, oh, that's like a slice. You always hear a slice or an eighth, 3 grams or 3.5 grams. You always hear people are like, yeah, oh, you know, like that's like the standard, like that's, you know, that's when you'll break in, you'll like start getting your, you know, thoughts right, you know, and this and that. And or if you go like a quarter, that's when, you know, like 7 grams, double that, which is like, you know, a quarter, 1/4. That's when you get like, you know, super deep, like, you know, you're gonna, yeah, I can't even imagine. I've only ever done like 2 grams, you know, which isn't bad. But so, you know, that was sort of like enough, where it was like, okay, like, you know, I wasn't getting like too much visuals, but I did even doing like acid once. I've done acid 1 time, LSD 1 time, 1 tab 1 time. You know what? You know what? I think I might be able to get into that experience a little bit. Yeah, so the 1 time that I did LSD and acid, well, LSD, acid's the same thing. But the 1 time that I did acid, it was the last night of the first semester of my super senior year of college at Castleton University. Shout out to Castleton in Vermont, Castleton, Vermont. But I know that's a lot to break down. But so it was the last night of the first semester of my super senior year at Castleton, right? So we had already taken like the exams and all that, and you know, everyone, I think everyone was like going home the next day, because I think it was like a Thursday. Yeah, it was like a Thursday night. The next day was Friday, obviously, and I think like the semester ended on that Friday. And there was like a couple of my good friends who were leaving. It was like their last night that semester. My friend Tim Halverson, shout out to Tim Halverson, and my friend Rodrigo Matos, shout out to Rodrigo. They were both. It was both like their last night at being at Castleton, and they had both been there for a couple of years, obviously. Am I getting this right? I'm trying to remember if I'm getting this story right. Now that I think about it, was it Rod that was leaving? Because I know Tim was leaving. This is tricky. I'm just trying to remember because I feel like this is an important detail because one of them was leaving, or two of them were leaving, and my friend Chris, our friend Chris Reardon, he was staying, but like I was in Chris and Tim Halverson's room, and I like we like it's so hard to really describe, because there was only like a couple of us that did it, and I won't say who did, but it wasn't like many, it wasn't like people, it wasn't planned, that's the thing. I don't think you can really plan it, you can't really plan trips or anything like that. I think like especially like, I think you can obviously, but like there's certain ones where I think if you do plan it, you might get in your head, and that might cause you to freak out a little bit. So I'm still trying to remember. I think it was. Oh yeah. So yeah. It was Rod and Tim leaving. So I took LSD, the one tab, right? Acid, just one tab. It was probably like 8:00, and it was a December night, like December 17th or something like that. Middle of December, nothing going on Thursday night. Dreary, cold, snow. It's Castleton, Vermont, right? And so I popped the tab, and I'd never done psychedelic. I hadn't done shrooms before at this point. I hadn't done acid or LSD at this point. Just smoked weed, drank obviously, and a couple other things. So the feeling of it is like hard to describe. Like the come up of it really is like it's such a anxiety. It's like almost, it's not really an anxiety build, but you feel a building sensation in you. Like it's like something's like, it takes a little bit, but maybe like, I'm trying to remember how long, because it was like, I want to say like 45 minutes, maybe, if that, 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. I don't know. I can't really remember, obviously, because it was insane and it was intense. But I just remember like the feeling, because I was playing like NBA 2K or something like that, like just a video game. And I remember I was just the anxiety build of it, and it just almost got to be like too much, right? So then I was playing that game in my room, and we were in like a suite at Castleton, in Castleton Hall. I believe it was 103, suite 103. We ended up going into like the other, like Tim and Chris's room, and I remember specifically the moment it hit me, and I will never forget it. I was going through like the anxiety build, or like I had that feeling, it was like rising in my chest, something was building. Couldn't tell what, never felt it before, anything like that. And I knew I was like coming under whatever. Like I was just I was accepting it. That's all you can really do. And that's what I was saying when I'm saying like you can plan trips, but I feel like if you plan it too much, you might try to control it too much, and you might freak out, and that's obviously not what you want, because that can lead to bad things, obviously, if you do too much, and there's bad stories of it. But that's neither here nor there. But that wasn't my case. I just let the thing roll. That's all you can really do. Just let it flow. And the moment it hit, we were in Chris and Tim's room. I remember specifically. I remember I was sitting at Tim's desk, right, and like he this was his last night. Like I'm saying at Castleton, he was leaving, and I'm sitting at his desk, like right where I am, kind of almost facing just like this too, right? And Chris is like directly across from here, and he's staying. And like I said, Chris and Tim are roommates. Chris is staying. Tim's leaving. Me and Chris are here, and the light. Chris has like a light on at his desk, right? And there was like a light on at Tim's desk, so it's light over here. And they like Tim and Rod. It was their both last night of the semester, and it wasn't really light over on the couch where they were sitting in the room. It was just kind of dark over there. And the way I saw it, right? It like the way it aligned and the way I saw it was that Chris and I were in the light and we were still here, and that we were going to be here next semester. So we're still here. And it's all lit up here, right? And then Tim and Rod were on the couch in the dark, right? And they weren't going to be there. It was the last night of the semester. And there was like almost like a wall, like a visible see-through wall where it was like the room was split in half. Like, this is what it's going to be like, next semester. It's just going to be me and Chris, like chilling in this room sometimes, hanging out, and then Tim and Rod are going to be gone. And like that half was just like dark. I swear I couldn't, I literally was like, I could still talk, we're still talking. It was normal. It was just what I was seeing. But what I was seeing was like, it was like reality. The fact that they were going to be gone. And like, it was almost like, darkness because they were going to be gone. Like that whole side of the room was like dark. It was literally like mind blowing. It was like, holy shit. I was like, I need to, and at that same moment that I realized that, it almost like took my breath away. Like it was almost like, it was like I almost struggled to breathe. I was like, holy shit, like they're still there, but they're not going to be there. And it literally blew my fucking mind. I couldn't believe it. So I was like, yeah, I need to go get some air. And a couple of the guys agreed. I think it was just really like Chris that agreed, because I think me and him just ended up like going for like a walk. And I remember going outside because like right after this happened, like instantly I was like, I need to go outside. I need some fresh air. I can't believe what I just saw. Like that was almost like a new reality, that's hitting me like in the face, like directly in the face. Never seen any shit like this before in my life. I step outside and I swear to God, when you're on LSD or acid, it's the same thing. I don't know why I keep doing this, but I'm just trying to let you people know, like LSD, acid is obviously the same thing. But when you step outside on it, you feel the difference in the air, right? The air from inside the air inside of a room or a building feels completely different than the air outside. You almost can't even describe what it feels like to step outside for the first time on acid. It's literally like, it's like, whoa. It's like you're constantly taking like huge deep breaths, like holy shit, like whoa. Like you're like, it's almost like overwhelming. And then you look around and the trees are like going up to the sky. It's like everything is your perspective. You realize your place in the world, right? And that's what I'm getting back to when I'm saying that, really doing psychedelics. I believed in like afterlife before psychedelics, but after doing psychedelics, I full-heartedly believe in the afterlife. I truly, truly do. You really realize there's so much more to everything around you right now that you have no idea. Like there's just so much like levels to everything. Levels that you can't even describe to everything around you right now, that it's like there has to be more than this after, what everything you go through, right? Like it can't just end. There's no way. And one reason why I always thought this too is that it's such a weird thing. I know it's kind of random, right? And I feel like it's kind of like a stoner thought. And not to say that, I got this thought from just smoking a ton of weed or anything like that. But, it's that, how did I, what's the difference between like me being a person, and, how come I wasn't didn't become like a deer, like instantly or something like that. Or just like a random animal. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a person now. But, like, I don't know how the fuck I got here. Like, I know how I got here, obviously, my parents, But, like, I just kind of realized one day, like, oh, yeah, I'm alive and living. And, like, here I am, What's my name? Oh, Matt. Okay, I'm going. Right? It's kind of like a childish, like, amateur way to look at it. Like, oh, But I don't know how I'm here, And, like, there's no way this ends and everything just ends. I swear, right? Because there's a spirit to everything, I feel like, And I think you realize that definitely when you do psychedelics. It's like everything has like a spirit, and it's like you don't even want to hurt insects, honestly. Like, I don't even really hurt insects anymore. I fucking try to help bugs out now, it seems like. Like, when I'm in the shower and there's like a bug in the shower and it's like damn near drowning, I get a little piece of toilet paper and I freaking scoop that little bug out and I place him, somewhere dry. And then, I just place him somewhere. I don't let him drown or anything like that. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of like, it's kind of weird, but I look at it like that could be me in an afterlife, right? And I feel like when you hear the word like karma and all that, right? When someone has like good karma, maybe that's what makes them into like, a cool, awesome animal or something in the afterlife, because they have like great karma and they were a great person. So now all of a sudden they're like a fucking eagle or like a crazy, like a bear or a bear or like a deer or anything like elk, something like that, coyote, anything. But, if you're like, a shitty person or something like that, you might be like a snake. Right? Or like a little rat. Or like a mouse. You might not be something cool. And then in the afterlife after that, you might be like that little fucking bug in the shower that's drowning. Right? And then all of a sudden, if you do die, you might come back, I don't know. I just feel like it's like a cycle. Right? Because you always hear, and it's no coincidence, I feel like you always hear people are like, I'm just an old soul. I feel like I'm not for this generation. I feel like I'm from a different time. Like, I don't belong in this era. And it's like, I feel like that's like maybe you coming back from a previous one. And these are all thoughts that, not only that you have, I feel like if you're a deep kind of critical thinker, you should kind of have them, anyway. You kind of have to, I feel like you should kind of look at life and be like, how did I get here anyway? What is this? How, where are we going after this? And if you don't, and if you're just kind of coasting through life, and that's not a bad thing either, I guess, but, yeah, it's just kind of like, I just feel like there's so much more to this, and I think you realize that when you do like psychedelics and stuff like that, there's a lot of benefits to it, and you don't really hear about, and that you're starting to hear about more. There's a lot of medical benefits, and dealing with like depression and anxiety, and so many other things, PTSD, and I think could be like a logical cure really for some of those things, because it does kind of like set you on like a new path or like a new way of life. You look at things completely different. Nothing's really the same after you do any of those things. Like, and I think that's, if that varies, obviously, if you do certain amounts. If you do like microdosing, you're not going to get the full effect of doing however many grams, obviously, but you might still get that little tingly feeling, But if you go super deep into the murky waters, like shout out to Joey Diaz, like he always says, deep into the murky waters, if you go wicked deep like that, like however, like a quarter into it, like 7 grams, and that's just, I'm talking like shrooms, because I don't even know what that would equate to in doing like tabs or anything like that. I can't even imagine. But like even like 7 grams would be like that is beyond life altering. I feel like that's like, ooh, that's like you're in for a ride, Willie. You better hang on. You're going for a ride.